that's a place where all of these documents that I have will live. And then I'm the editor. And then if people want to, they can send it to me and I'll upload it there for all of us to be able to use, because this is the new world that we are in now. It's not going away. Okay. Sorry, my time is moving on. Right, I want us to get to something practical now. So this is how you make these. You generate code. You have Claude Code or Gemini or Codex. You store it on GitHub. You can host it using Vercel or Netlify. You can speak to it to prompt that way using Whisperflow. All of those are free except for the first one. You need a £20 monthly subscription to code these things. And you can do it with the free ones, but it will take you a year. Okay, I'm going to have to skip past that. So I want to think about you doing something now with the last 10 minutes or so. We're going to build a self-contained artifact. So we're all familiar with level 1, text in, text out. You may not be as familiar with level 2, which is an HTML file, something that's branching. So we'll experiment with that. So we're going to experiment with our AIs now. If you don't want to, absolutely fine. Keep engaging with the artifacts and let me know if you've got any questions. So if you wanted to, you could draft some of these. You could make a skill file. You could make a thinking environment activity. So give me 2 versions of this, which has got this flaw in it. You can make an HTML drag and drop fill in the blanks game. So yeah, we're gonna have to keep it quite tight now because I've overrun in my explanations. I've been a bit too wordy. So I'm going to give you 15 seconds to think about what you might want to make. As I say, 30% of the time it works. The remaining 70, you'll need to iterate and change it or ask it some questions or you'll get some nonsense. But that's a skill that develops over time, I've found. Okay. Right, over to you then. Let's see what you build. Open your AI tools. It could be ChatGPT or Copilot. And we're going to build something now. Build a simple tune. Try and be specific. If you want to, you could get the AI to help you write the prompt as well. That will get you a lot more detail. It can ask you questions about it. So that's a possibility that I generally use to improve these different bits. Here's your prompt. Code an application that create it as a single self-contained HTML file. Or if you prefer, you can just do a document. And then any content or style things here. You don't necessarily need the clean mobile-friendly design. Let's cut that just for time's sake. Okay, have a crack at that. If you want to, you can share in the chat what you've got. Or if you prefer, just have a look at the artifacts that I've made. If you're like, I don't want to make any of these, Paul, I'm sorry. That's fine. If you're just doing text, remember you won't need an application. You just 2 different versions of this. What we're looking at here is something like a drag and drop or a quiz or a branching activity. And if you want, you can just prompt it and say, help me make a branching activity that does this, this, this. Yeah, there's a lot to do here. If you want to, you can just have a look at the artifacts and have a look at those. I would say this is the secondary thing. The first thing would be to have a look at the artifacts themselves and see what use they might be. And really, it's just to see that this is now a possibility in learning design. Maybe. The prompt itself is very simple, I think. When you come down to it, it's like, I want an application that does this. Make it as a single self-contained HTML file. I'm going to keep the last 10 minutes fairly open now. So if you want to, keep iterating on there. Paste it into the chat if you have any questions. Or if you, if you have any questions, add them into the chat. Feel free to use, if you want to paste your chat into the, if you want to paste your prompt to the chat, that's fine as well. So yes, if you've got the HTML file, that is now a separate document. It's completely separate from the AI. So you can open it with any browser. If you wanted to, you could put it on a Blackboard site. You can open it offline as well with your browser. So it's embeddable as well into Blackboard if you want. So yes, remember, if you are, yeah. So if you want to turn it into something that's self-contained, you could say, give me this as an HTML file. What you want is to take it out of the chat and then put it somewhere else. I think prompting would be a new skill to teach. Yeah, if students are wanting to do this sort of stuff for professional purposes, then what we don't want is for them to go from an environment where AI has been completely restricted to go to one where it's expected. So we have to help them. I think AI literacy includes more than just be critical of the output. I think it's way more than that. And I think it's being able to use it to do things and then to articulate why it's done, how you'd improve it. Okay, yes, Stella.
Just on that point about prompt training and training our students, I was talking about this with somebody and they said, well, it's interesting because AI is so ever evolving and it gets to know you that prompting is changing all the time anyway. So that's quite interesting. You know, what do we teach?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I think what's interesting to me is the intentions will be the same. Like learning is learning. And I think what might change is just the precision with which that happens and the way in which it takes place. But we know how learning works. And that to me is our moat as educators. We can sit with that. We know the principles. And that means that we can design around that. As I say, prompting for me has changed from having a sort of 6-step approach with the role and the context to just, can you do this for me? Help me make this better. And then you just sort of have a conversation about it, really. Yeah, so I think what I've done today is I've condensed a full day of training into 1 hour. So that's why it feels very densely packed. So I think the best thing for you to do now is to have a look at, refine what you've done. Have a look at the Padlet. Think through whether there's anything there. The slides I will add to this Padlet as well. So I'll just paste a link to the chat in here again, just in case. Oh, there you go. So we need to get better at this stuff as a profession because I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? The students are using it and they want to be taught how to use it, which comes through in the literature. But also we don't want to be left behind with these things. And I think I'm very optimistic about our future, actually, as educators. I think there will always be a need for a person to be present in there. I think our role will change significantly, but that's years away, I think. But I think that the students are using this. We have to engage with it and design, not necessarily for AI, but design around it and recognizing it, informed by it. Yeah. Okay, I'm just having a look at some of the questions here.